afternoon, everyone. Today we are going to tackle the Chapter 3, Introduction to Emerging Literature. So, what is emerging literature? So, emerging literature is an integration of a traditional and technological-driven form of literature. So, emerging literature from the word itself, emerge or almost boom. So, ang emerging literature, uban ang pinagsama-sama ang traditional at ang technological driving forms sa literatura. So, emergent or emerging literature, it refers to new genres of scholarly discourse such as online collaborative spaces, academic blogs, websites, and e-press. So, emerging literature or the 21st century literature, it includes the literary works published in this century. For example, so besides from the illustrative novels, the graphic novels, and the doodle fictions, there are other literary forms of genres emerging at present, such as the flash fiction, the slipstream, metafiction, and the magic realism. So when we say flash fiction, it is a genre of fiction defined as a very short story. So while there is no set words count that separate from flash fiction from more traditional short stories, so ang flash fiction stories, it can be as short as a few words. So while short stories typically run for several pages. So, while the slipstream, it is a term denoting form of speculative fiction that blends together science fictions, fantasy, and literary fictions, or do not remain in conventional boundaries of genre and narrative. So metafiction, it is a style of prose narrative in which attention is directed to the process of fictive composition. So the most obvious example of metafictive work is a novel about a novelist writing a novel with a protagonist sharing the name of the creator and each book having the same title. So magic realism. So magic realism, perhaps the common term, usually it refers to literature in particular with magical or supernatural phenomena presented in an otherwise real world or mundane settings commonly found in the novel and dramatic performance. So next is So when we say 21st century, it is the current century of the Anno Domini era or the Common Era. So in accordance with the Gregorian calendar, so 21st century it began on January 1, 2001 and will end on December 31, 2100. So there are literary genres of 21st century. The first is the blog, the chiclet, the creative non-fiction, digifiction, doodle fiction, the flash fiction, the graphic novels, hyperpoetry, manga, mobile phone textula, and the speculative fiction. So when we say blog, it is an online journal or informational website displaying information in the reverse chronological order with the latest post appearing first. So it is a platform. Where a writer or even a group of writers share their views on individual project. For example, is the Penny Harder. For example, of blogs or the Blogspot, Witest, Nerd Fitness, or Art of Manliness. Next is the chiclet. So chiclet, it consists of heroine-centered narrative. So nag-focus ang chiclet, nag-focus lang siya sa trials, sa tribulation of the individual protagonist. So it often addresses issues for modern womanhood, from romantic to relationship to matters in the workplace, in humorous and in light-hearted ways. So for example, sa chiclet, Emma by Jane Austen, The Memoirs of Geisha by Arthur Golden, and Snowflower and the Secret Fun by Lessa. Next is creative nonfiction. So creative nonfiction, it is a rich mix of flavors, ideas, and techniques. So some of which are newly invented, and others as old as writing itself. So ang creative nonfiction, so pwede siya maging, it can be essay or a journal article, a research paper, or a memoir, or a poem. So it also can be personal or not. Next is the issues and challenges of emerging literature. So the first issues is the literature consumption is not the same as it was before. So people no longer read books in the same way that they read them before. So instead ganang nag-adapt na sa reading blogs, sa mga social media feeds, manood ng video instead na mag-search sa mga literary pieces. So next is too many writers. Today everyone who has learned to quickly tap their fingers on the keyboard can easily think of themselves as a writer. So kanang like sa karon nga generation, like kung kamao ka musuwat, kung kamao ka muhimog mga like stories, so pwede na ka matawag og writers. So next is this too much reuse and copied ideas. So taking into account the amount of information that is produced and reproduced on the internet daily. So it is really hard to come up with something new. So if 100 years ago the authors had a great scope for creativity and imaginations, today one can argue that we've already covered everything and published books in all possible topics and genres. So sa karon nga generation, like mura pwede na lang mong copy sa mga sinaunang novel. So di ba may minsan may mabasahan ta nga murag magkapare-parehas na lang. So dapat ang mga authors na bago karon, or ang mga estudyante nga gusto maghimog mga novels, stories, dapat ka na mag-isip sila dili sila maghaw mga ideas sa dati nga mga authors, kay para mas maingganyo ang uban nga kabataan mo base sa ilahang story or ilahang sa ilang mga literature ways. So last is some type of emerging literature are dismissed as inferior literature. So graphic novels is any forms were generally dismissed as inferior literature, not proper reading. So people say that the style of graphic novels such as comics books o manga, dili siya para sa mga tao, ang mga comics dili siya counted as literature jud. So para sa ilaha kuan na siya, they are just art lang siya or drawing lang. Kaya mo walay ka emotion bitaw, basta na lang naka-drawing. Mga inana mo. So wala siya dili para sa tao, dili siya angay basahon. So mana siya mga mga issues and challenges sa emerging literature. Isa ko sa bang. So these are my reports. So that's all that, thank you.